You guys get more enthusiastic as the service goes on, all right?
Good morning.
Right here, if you guys don't know, this is Pastor Jordan,
Hi. Aw.
our kids pastor. We're so happy to have him. He's not allowed in here that often, and so he's here now. But Jordan and I thought it would be great, because we know that next Friday and Sunday is our Easter special days, like the Good Friday,
Yep,
and
Good
Easter
Friday,
Sunday.
Easter Sunday.
And we didn't want you to show up next Friday alone, which would mean you'd have to invite somebody.
Yeah.
And so we are aware that at times inviting someone can make somebody a little nervous because you're inviting them to church. It's scary, I guess. But you're here, and maybe you're the reason it's scary. But anyways, so we're gonna help you today.
Yes.
With a few real life situations that you can find yourself in where you would have to invite or should invite someone to church.
This is not scripted at all.
No.
This is
We've actually had Pastor Steve throw some cards in here with some real life situations that you will find yourself in.
Yep.
And we will kind of improv these to help you with inviting someone to church. Are we good with this?
You guys good?
Okay. All right.
Cool.
So
Improv.
the first one.
I'm ready.
Water
Whoa,
cooler.
Hold on. Can we be whoever we want?
You could be whoever you want.
Awesome. Okay.
Whoever you want. Okay.
Well, who was the first one? What's the first one?
Water cooler.
Water cooler. Okay.
So at the water cooler. Okay.
I'm
so
good.
whoever you want, and let's do this. Are you
All right,
nervous?
here we go.
You nervous?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I thought so. All right. Here we go. And action.
Yeah. Woo, woo, woo. I love water. That is delicious water.
Wow.
Oh.
Wow. That's some really nice singing you have there.
Thank you very much. It's probably the best voice in the world.
Okay. Awesome. Well, hi. My name is Adam.
Hello, Adam. It is nice to meet you. I am Steve Odd. And I love to sing
Jordan.
your praise.
Jordan.
Oh,
Jordan.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
I'm being Pastor Steve.
No, but why would I invite Pastor Steve to church?
You don't want him to come?
He's already going to be here.
Oh.
Okay, let's try a different one.
Sorry.
This didn't work.
Sorry, my bad.
Sorry. Come on, Jordan. Okay.
Ready.
All right, next one.
What's the next one?
Ooh, telemarketer.
Oh, yes.
So you be
Got
at
it.
home and invite me, the telemarketer, to church.
Okay,
All right.
done.
Perfect.
That's perfect.
All right.
Okay.
Make this one easy, Jordan. Okay. All right.
Oh, the habs are on. Nope. The sends are on. Oh, telephone call. Unknown caller. Not answering that.
Jordan, how are you supposed to invite me to church if you don't answer your phone?
Adam, it was an unknown caller. It could be a telemarketer. I don't talk to them.
All right. This is why you stay in the gym on Sundays. Oh my goodness.
Hey.
Okay. Let's make this one work, Jordan. We're trying to help our church here.
I'm trying,
Oh my
man.
goodness. Okay. All right. Horseback riding on the beach.
Yes.
Everyday
Wait.
situations, all right?
Wait, are we shirtless?
Oh my goodness.
Oh.
Okay, so we're horseback riding at
Horseback
Petrie
ride.
Island. Okay, here we go. And action. Yes, all right. Fantastic.
Whoa.
Whoa. All right. Hey, how's it going?
Oh, hold on a second. So, hi, honey. Yes, just horseback riding. Just testing out our new horse, little Richie Coughlin. Oh, he's a great little horse. A little small, but can clippity-clop with the best of them. Can you hold on a second? Can I help you, buddy?
Yeah, I was just wondering, we have a service on the Friday and Sunday coming up for Easter at 10:30 in the morning. We'd love for you to come be a part of. You're free.
Hold on a second. Let me talk to my wife. Honey, what are we doing March 25th, 27th? Oh, right. Yeah, okay, hold on a second. We're actually going to be in Florida, sir. We're doing some golfing, Disney, all that kind of stuff. Hey, hold on a second. Honey, are you thinking what I'm thinking? Why don't you come with us? It would be wonderful.
Jordan.
Oh, my goodness.
Jordan, enough with that annoying voice.
Sorry. That was my
I'm
best,
trying
Pastor
to
Jeff.
invite you- oh. You're definitely not going to be allowed back in here on Sunday. Okay. I'm trying to invite you to church.
Oh.
Simple conversations for our church. Everyday situations, like horseback riding to Petrie Island. Come on, Jordan.
That's
We got one
normal?
last try. One last try.
Okay.
One last try. Okay. All right. So shopping. You can always
Yes!
invite the person who's working at the store. So
Okay.
so I'll be shopping.
Okay.
And I'll invite you, who is the person working at the store.
Sure.
Okay. So I'm Adam, and
Okay.
I'm gonna. All right. So.
All right.
All right. Oh, this store looks good. Yeah, I can buy some stuff from here.
Hi, sir. Welcome to Victoria's Secret. What? Pastor Adam from Community?
Oh,
What are you doing here?
I'm not here, Jordan. What are you? It's not for me. It's not. I'm not really here. What are you doing?
I thought I knew you.
Oh my goodness. Well, you're working here.
I am an actor.
Oh my goodness.
I am in full character right now.
Okay, you know what? Forget this. Obviously, we do this better when we're scripted out.
That's true.
Especially
That's
you. My goodness. All right.
Sorry.
So this coming Friday, the 25th at 10:30, we have our Good Friday service.
Yes.
And on Sunday at 10:30, we have our Easter Sunday service. We have an incredible production ready for you, some great message, some great worship. And so we want you to be there, but don't come alone.
Mm-hmm.
We would encourage you to invite somebody. Now, you might find yourself sending an email. You might just go to somebody's door. That'd be kind of weird. But it might go to someone's door and invite them. You might run into them in the store. Wherever you would find yourself is an opportunity for you to invite someone to church next weekend. We look forward to seeing you and your friends here.
Don't forget, for your kids, we have a big Easter egg hunt happening at the end of the service. They're going to collect a certain amount of eggs and go home with a little gift package of chocolate and fun stuff. All right? That's
All
it
right,
for me.
thanks so much.
Thanks, guys.
It's easy to preach after that. Hey, just a couple really quick things. I just wanted to remind you about our baptism service that will be taking place in April. I want just to take a moment to encourage you. If you've never been baptized, we would really encourage you to do so. Every now and then I talk to somebody who is a little bit more mature in their faith. They've been saved for a while, never took the next steps in being baptized in water. And I know that sometimes that may feel like an embarrassing thing because people are wondering, hey, haven't they been saved forever? Don't let your pride get in the way. Jesus himself set the example by getting baptized in water, and in the early church, it was a public proclamation to the community that they had now accepted Jesus as the Messiah. And I would encourage you to follow in the ways of Jesus, be baptized. If you've never been baptized, join us in April for our baptism service. That would be great. I also just wanted to point out. Jordan, I mentioned this last week, but Jordan and his fiancée are here. They got engaged a couple weeks ago. Why don't you just stand up so everybody can see you? Congratulations, guys. For 26 years, it was a very difficult life. I was quite deprived in my life for 26 years. I didn't have a cell phone. I don't know if you remember those days. Anybody remember the days before cell phones? Some of you wish that we could go back. For 26 years, there was no way for anybody to contact me when I was on the road. If I was gone for the day, I would have to tell Ainsley, hey, I'm going here, I'm going here, I'm going here. Or I'd have to wait till I got somewhere where there's a landline and have to give her a phone call. But there was no way to communicate with me through the day. And then I went to our district office, and one of the first things that they gave me was a flip cell phone. Anybody remember those? Maybe you still have one. This flip cell phone was incredible. It had a walkie-talkie feature that allowed Sorry about that. Adam Gilfillan. 1 second. Hello? What are you doing? I'm in the middle of my message.
Yeah, I know. It sounds amazing.
Okay, I'm going to let you go, and don't call me again.
By the way, you'd like to share a history story.
That's right, I did. Okay, bye. Got to turn that off and have a talk with Adam later on this week. I was given a cell phone and accessible anywhere, including Sunday morning service. And it was something that was so exciting in my life because no matter where I went, I could call Ainsley. No matter where I went or whatever time of the day, my boss could get a hold of me, and he would often call me at strange times trying to ask me to do certain favors. and it just became part of my life. My cell phone now is part of my regular life. It goes with me just about wherever I go. It's one of the most precious things in my life. I bring it to bed with me. Last night we were watching TV, and I had it on my lap watching basketball, the March Madness, and watching on my phone. It's just always with me. I'm always accessible. And I so appreciate it that we decided that when our kids graduated from grade 8, that would be their gift, that we would buy them their own cell phone so that they would be accessible in high school. The problem is that while they have a cell phone and they should be accessible, I can't tell you how many times I've tried calling them and their cell phone's not on. Any parents say amen? It drives me absolutely nuts. Yesterday, Friday, Briar was out the entire day. And we were trying to figure out what was happening that night, we kept texting her, we kept calling her. She has a cell phone, she has an iPhone, she is accessible. We have a way of communicating with her. But even though she's accessible with her cell phone, she was not answering. We couldn't get a hold of her. It drove me absolutely nuts. I wonder if that's the way the Israelites felt in 1 Samuel chapter 7. The Bible tells us that the ark moves from Beth Shemesh. We talked about that last week. It moves from Beth Shemesh to Kiriath Jearim. It's in their presence. It's in their community. It's right there. The means for accessibility is right there. But for 20 years, even though the means are there, it's like they can't have accessibility to God. His presence is right there, but he seems inaccessible. It's the way I feel when I try to call my kids, or Ainsley feels when she tries to call me through the day trying to get my attention. The means are there, the accessible means are there, and yet the person is still inaccessible. And for the Israelites, they went through this season where the presence of God was right there. The means of accessibility was right there. But for 20 years, it was as if he were an absent God right in their midst. I don't know if you've ever felt that way. Felt like you know the truths of Scripture, that God is supposed to be there. He's this omnipresent God. He lives in our life. When we gave our lives to Jesus, He came and moved inside of us. He dwells within us. And yet there's times when we pray, there's times when we are seeking Him, where it feels like He's there, but He's not there. Anybody know what I'm talking about? We believe it with our head. He's there. The means of accessibility are there. The means are there, but He feels inaccessible. I want to talk to you about the accessibility of God this morning, and I want you to look in 1 Samuel chapter 7 with me. If you have your Bibles, you can turn there. For those who don't, up on the screen it says this. So the men of Kiriath Jearim came and took up the ark of the Lord. They brought it to Abinadab's house on the hill and consecrated Eleazar, his son, to guard the ark of the Lord. The ark remained at Kiriath Jearim a long time, 20 years in all. Samuel subdues the Philistines at Mizpah. Then all the people of Israel turned back to the Lord. So Samuel said to all the Israelites, if you are returning to the Lord with all your hearts, then rid yourselves of the foreign gods and the Ashtoreths, and commit yourselves to the Lord, and serve Him only, and He will deliver you out of the hand of the Philistines. So the Israelites put away their Baals and the Ashtoreths, and served the Lord only. Then Samuel said, assemble all Israel at Mizpah, and I will intercede with the Lord for you. And when they had assembled at Mizpah, they drew water and poured it out before the Lord. On that day they fasted, and there they confessed, we have sinned against the Lord. Now Samuel was serving as leader of Israel at Mizpah, and when the Philistines heard that Israel had assembled at Mizpah, the rulers of the Philistines came up to attack them. And when the Israelites heard of it, they were afraid because of the Philistines. They said to Samuel, do not stop crying out to the Lord our God for us, that He may rescue us from the hand of the Philistines. Then Samuel took a suckling lamb and sacrificed it as a whole burnt offering to the Lord. He cried out to the Lord on Israel's behalf, and the Lord answered him. While Samuel was sacrificing the burnt offering, the Philistines drew near to engage Israel in battle. But that day, the Lord thundered with loud thunder against the Philistines and threw them into such a panic that they were routed before the Israelites. The men of Israel rushed out of Mizpah and pursued the Philistines, slaughtering them along the way to the point below Beth-kar. 1 Samuel chapter 7, verses 1 to 11. We know from last week that the ark of God had killed when the 70 men had looked into the ark of God, that they were killed. And that the Israelites within Beth Shemesh got freaked out. They got scared of what God could do, what he would do, and so they sent it to Kiriath Jearim. And now we see the ark there in Kiriath Jearim. And for 20 years, it doesn't seem like God's doing anything for them. We don't actually see the hand of God moving in Kiriath Jearim until the very end of this passage that we just read, where he defeats the Philistines. And so I want to talk to you about this passage and the accessibility of God. If God is going to be truly accessible in your life, the first thing that you need to do is you need to pursue him. You need to pursue him. 20 years, the Bible says, that the ark is there in Kiriath Jearim. 20 years. And then it says that the people of Kiriath Jearim begin to mourn and pursue God. They begin to mourn and sought God. There was a mourning and a seeking. It seems like 20 years happens. You know, the ark arrives at Kiriath Jearim, and they kind of just leave it there. They don't pay attention. God could be accessible, but they don't access him. And then for 20 years, and all of a sudden something snaps in their head, and they say, hey, you know what? We should actually go after him. But if you look at the original Hebrew, the idea of mourning and seeking is one concept, and it's tied together with this whole 20 years. And so what the original language actually conveys is this, is that when the ark arrives, when the presence of God arrives, right at that moment, the Israelites are mourning and seeking God. They're mourning and seeking for 20 years. They're crying. And literally this idea of mourning and seeking, it means they went mourning after God. They went mourning after him. For 20 years, they went after him, seeking him, praying, oh God, we need you to show up in our lives. We need you. They are broken. They're going after him, pursuing him. He's right there, but they're pursuing him. It's interesting how we can have God in our lives, but not really have him accessible. A few weeks ago, we took a family trip. This was I keep telling people this is the last one we could control. Next year, Bailey will be on internship. Brock will be in Bible college. And so this is the last opportunity that we had to bring our family together and go away on a trip. And so we were spending weeks trying to find the right spot for within our budget. And we finally, after searching and searching, finally found a spot that we were going to go to. And so we decided we'd fly out of Toronto. After having been on selloffvacations.com for weeks and many hours, I was so caught up in the routine of looking at the start date and the departure date that on the Friday, just before we had left, I needed to still book our hotel. I looked for a number of hotels that would have parking as part of it, that were near Toronto, very inexpensive. And so I found a hotel that had 24-hour cancellation. It had parking that was included. And so when I went to enter the data for the day that we would be leaving, I put in the first date that we would be arriving. And all I was thinking about in my mind was, I need to ensure that I am able to park my car there for the whole time we're away. And so when I entered the second date, the day of departure, I'm thinking about my car. And so I put in 8 days of staying in this hotel. And now listen, every time I use Expedia, I don't know if you've ever used it, every time I do, I check everything before I fully submit it. I mean, I go over it and over it and over again because I don't want to make a mistake. But I was in such a rush, and I pressed accept and completed sale. And then 2 minutes later, I get the itinerary sent back to me, and so I check it right away, and I look, and I see a number at the bottom of this itinerary that was a little different than what I had anticipated. $1,090. Friends, I can't afford $1,090 for a hotel room. And I immediately felt sick in my stomach. I began to look at the itinerary, and up in the left-hand corner, I saw something else that made me even feel more sick. It said, no cancellations or changes. We had spent weeks trying to find a place that was within our budget. We finally found something that was right in our budget. By flying out of Toronto, we were able to save a significant amount of money. We were so happy with that. And now I've booked a hotel for 8 days, $1,000, and I don't know what to, and it won't allow me to cancel. So immediately I get on the phone with Expedia, and I said, sir, look, I just did this, blah, blah, blah. I started explaining to him, and he said, sir, we don't have a cancellation, we're not allowed to cancel this. I said, I know, but I've actually been to the hotel's website, and they say that you're allowed to cancel within 24 hours. Yes, sir, but that's their hotel. You didn't book through their hotel. You booked through Expedia. I said, sir, come on, I've booked with you so many times. I said, I just booked this 2 minutes ago. It's not like I'm trying to pull a fast one. You've got to do something. Is there not a manager I can talk to? I mean, I'm pleading my case. And he says, sir, listen, what I'll do is I'll call the hotel to see if there's anything that can happen. So he puts me on hold. He calls over to the hotel and wait for a few moments, comes back in line. He says, sir, the hotel manager's not there for an hour, so we're going to take your information and we'll call you back within the next 48 hours. Friends, I can't wait 48 hours. I mean, it's $1,090. It's all I can think about. I mean, my house would be burning down and I can't think about anything else. So he gets off the phone, and so I immediately call the hotel. I thought, I'm not, that Expedia guy is probably trying to pull a fast one on me, trying to be nice, customer service type of thing. I'm not buying that. And so I get off the phone, and I call the hotel, and I said, is the manager there? Oh, he's gone. He won't be back for an hour. It's like, okay, so this is legitimate, the Expedia thing. So there's nothing I can do, and Ainsley and I needed to do some errands. We head over to Winners. And Ainsley's talking to me as we're driving in the car. Yeah. Yeah. She said, Jeff, are you listening? Yeah. She keeps talking to me. And at some point in the middle of this conversation, she says this to me. You're here, but you're not really here. What? She says, you're here. I'm talking. You're in the car, but you're not really here. And the truth was, she was right. My mind was somewhere else. I couldn't think about anything else for another hour and a half until, by the way, everything got cleared up and they gave me the break. So thank you, Jesus. But I couldn't think of anything for an hour and a half. I mean, no matter what she told me, no matter what she wanted to talk about, I love her dearly. Fridays is my favorite day. I love date days with Ainsley. But I couldn't think of anything else because my mind was somebody else. I was there, but I wasn't there. And that's what the Israelites are facing. They're facing the season where God's there, but He's not really there. They're trying to communicate with Him. They're facing oppression from the enemy. There's all this negative stuff going on, but He's there, but He's not really there. And for 20 years, they're pursuing God. We know you're here, but you're not really here. We know that there's a method of accessibility here, but we don't feel like you're accessible. God, we need you. We need you. We need you. They begin to pursue Him. A few weeks ago, I was skiing. It was actually the last day of December. We had barely had any skiing. I'm not even sure. This may have been it was my first time skiing. Because that's what fits into the story. Went out for my first day skiing. Our friends were showing up that afternoon. Ainsley was working. None of the kids wanted to go with me skiing, so it was just me. Anyways, I went to Cascade and pull in, get all my stuff in, put my cell phone into my pocket because I love taking pictures of the scenic view at the top of Cascade that overlooks Gatineau and overlooks Ottawa. And got all my stuff on, locked the doors, and began to ski over to the lodge. I had to get my ski pass. I walk into the lodge, and I go to reach into my pocket for my wallet. I find my wallet, but as I reach both my hands in my pockets, I realize that one of my pockets is empty. The pocket that should have my cell phone. My dear cell phone, the thing I love so much. And all of a sudden, that sick feeling comes over me again. I walk out of the lodge. I haven't got my pass yet, and I walk right back to the car. I'm looking at every spot. I didn't park very far away. I go to the Tribute. I look all through the Tribute trying to find it. I can't find it. I'm looking in the back underneath all the snow gear that's there. I can't find it. And I am so upset. And so I go back to the lodge and wait in line, and I'm standing there, and all I can think about is this cell phone. Go up to the front, and I said, hey, I've already paid for my pass. Jeff Hillier, they give me my card. And I said, hey, ma'am, is there any chance that someone's found an iPhone? It's got a blue case on it. Well, just one sec. So she looks, and she says, no, I'm sorry, there's nothing. Okay. She said, you might want to check back later. So I go outside, and I can't think about skiing. I mean, I love skiing, but I can't think about it. I see the lift is right here. There's my car, and I go back towards my car. And I'm looking, my mind's on this, my emotions are on it, I'm physically engaged in this pursuit. I'm looking, and I look everywhere, my eyes are back and forth, I'm looking for the cell phone, just anything. Go back, look underneath the Tribute, do another search inside the Tribute, just completely tearing everything apart, moving seats, putting seats up and down. I'm just trying to find it, but I can't find it I go back and look again on the snow, go back to the lodge, go into the lodge. I haven't even got on the ski lift yet. I've only been there 5 minutes earlier. Excuse me? Any chance someone has found an iPhone? Blue case? Sorry, you were just here like 2 minutes ago. I know, but anybody find an iPhone? They look, no, sir, there's no iPhone. I go back to the ski lift. Or go to the ski lift. I thought, okay, there's nothing I can do. I get on the ski lift, and I begin to pray like crazy. I mean, I'm speaking in tongues. I'm just totally engaged with God. I'm thinking, I can't afford to buy a new iPhone. I just can't afford that. And I'm on the ski lift, and I am praying, and I'm upset, and I'm thinking about it. I've lost my iPhone. This is brutal. How am I even going to communicate with Ainsley today? This is awful. I get to the top of the hill, ski down, and I thought I should check again. One run. This time, you should see me. I'm there. I'm fully engaged in all my snow gear. I've got my snow pole out. I'm doing this on the snow, moving snow so that just in case it's covered by a little bit of snow, I can hit it. I feel it. I'm moving things. People must have thought I looked ridiculous, but I don't care. I'm trying to find myself moving back and forth with my pole. I get down underneath the tribute, moving the pole back and forth. I do a third search of my vehicle, as if there's a spot I haven't looked yet. Pulling everything apart, looking again, go back to the lodge again and ask them. They still haven't found it. Go back on the ski lift. My mind, my emotions, everything's engaged with the fact I haven't found my cell phone. I determined I'm going to ski till 11 o'clock, and then I'm going to go back and look. And at 5 to 11, I finish my run, and I go back down to the lodge. My heart is pounding. I'm praying like crazy. Jesus, please let it be there. Walk into the lodge. I said, ma'am, is there any chance that someone has found an iPhone? It's got a blue case. 1 second, sir. She picks up a radio and she says, hey, do you have that cell phone? I went, thank you, Jesus. And she goes, yeah, we found it. It's just upstairs. And I went and grabbed my iPhone. I was so happy. For 2 hours, friends, 2 hours. Mentally, emotionally, and physically, all I did was pursue that phone. Even when I wasn't physically pursuing it, mentally I'm going through everything in my mind that I had done from the car to the lodge. Emotionally I'm engaged. Everything about me is pursuing that which I lost. And for 20 years, the Israelites are fully engaged because they know that God is there, but for some reason He's not working on their behalf, and they pursue Him not just with their body, not just with their mind, but they're fully engaged with their emotions. My question to you this morning is, when was the last time you pursued God with your mind, with your emotions, and your entire being? I mean, my cell phone, I don't know how much this thing's worth. It's an iPhone 5, I think. It's maybe worth a few $100s. And it took everything of me to find this thing. My mind was on it. My emotions were on it. My physical well-being. But what about the presence of God in our life? When was the last time we pursued Him with everything because we knew that where we're at with Him is not the place that we should be? That He's there, but He's not there. That we can talk to Him, but He doesn't seem to be fully accessible. There's something there that we pursued Him for 20 years. For 20 years, the Israelites said, we want more of God. His presence is here, but He doesn't seem to be doing anything. We're going after Him. 20 years. 20 years they pursued Him. Friends, I want to tell you that God desires to be pursued. He desires that you go after Him. He's not wanting to be treated as just some box that sits here, some feeling that comes about on a Sunday morning. He is looking for people who will spend everything to pursue Him. Mind, emotion, and physical being. That you would posture yourself physically. You would take time out of your schedule physically to pursue Him. That your mind would be consumed by Him. That your emotions would be hungry for Him. That you would pursue Him. Because He's much more important than an iPhone. We've got to pursue Him. Not only do we need to pursue Him, but we need to prepare ourselves for Him. For 20 years, they're preparing themselves, or they're pursuing Him. Going after God, going after Him, praying, mourning, going after Him. And then they hit this tipping point, I call it. This moment where it's like they've got God's attention. And Samuel says to them, hey, listen, God's heard you. He's heard your prayers. He's heard your pursuits. If you truly want to follow God, you've got to do it wholeheartedly. Get rid of your idols. Get rid of your idols. You need to prepare yourself. You see, for 20 years, he's there. His presence is there. And they love God. They have an affection for God, but they also have an affection for a number of other gods. They have all these other idols in their life. They're the people of God, but they have other stuff in their life. And Samuel says, listen, if you're gonna see God fully accessible, you got to serve him wholeheartedly. He's got to be your only affection. You can't have an affection for him and then a few other things. We may need to reset the lights, by the way, because we're having another little strobe show. I think I've shared this before, but a number of years ago, I was asked to do a retreat in Vermont. And I knew how to host people. I've hosted people many, many times on events. And I remember arriving at the lodge in Vermont and waiting for my room to be available. I was so looking forward to just getting some time alone. I'd been on this Greyhound bus with all these students for somewhere between 7 and 10 years. Or 7 and 10 years. That's what it felt like for 7 and 10 hours. And we arrived there, and I couldn't wait just to get I just needed some quiet time. Just needed to focus because I was speaking that night. The person who owns this lodge came down and said, okay, we're ready to show you your rooms. And she walked me up to this room that has multiple bunk beds. And I said, ma'am, there's a lot of bunk beds in here. I said, where's the room with the queen-size bed? And she says, sir, we only have one of those, and that's already taken. It's already been accounted for. No, ma'am. There's a lot of rooms, there's a lot of bunks in here. Who else is staying in here? Oh, there's a pile of students staying in here. I'm the speaker. You're going to put me in a room full of students? I'd done that one other time in my life. It was my very first time speaking. I had done what's now known as Global Kingdom in Toronto. I had done their youth retreat in my second year of Bible college, shared a room with students. Because they were up all night, because of a number of conditions that was just terrible, I got unbelievably sick. And I thought to myself, I can't be in a room with all these students and be effective in my communication. I can't hear from God if I'm in a room full of other students. And friends, I know this sounds very arrogant, but I thought to myself, does he not know that I'm the speaker? Like he is treating me. He's treating me like I'm just anybody. Like I'm the guy that's going to bring the spiritual meat to this retreat. I'm the guy who's got to hear from God. I'm the guy who's going to spend time with students as they tell me their problems, and I'm going to pray for them. I'm the guy. Does he not know he is treating me just like everybody else? And there are times in our life, I wonder if God feels like he's been thrown into a room with a bunch of other people, and that he is treated just like everybody else. That's what the Israelites were doing. They had this affection for God, but they put him into a room. This is our God room. This is where our affection and our worship goes. God's right here, but then they had this idol, and this idol, and this idol. Oh, God, you're important, but so is this, so is this, so is this. You're on the same level as all these other things. Their affection was shared. We've shared that we had a wedding a week ago. We've had 2 engagements. It's the time of love. I want to illustrate this. I want you to imagine that you are about to get married. And what happens is you're about a month out from getting married, and the guy some guy and girl, we'll call them Jack and Jill. Jack takes Jill and he says, "Hey, Jill, I want to show you the apartment we're going to live in." And she's like, "Oh, Jack, I'm so happy. I can't wait to see where we're going to spend the rest of our lives and building our future together. I'm so in love with you." And he looks into Jill's eyes. He says, "I'm so in love with you too." Big smile. They're 2 lovebirds, and they're holding hands. And they arrive at the apartment, and Jill is just, "Oh, this is it. This is our home. This is where you will carry me over the thresholds. This is going to be so incredible." And so as they open the door, Jill walks in, and she's overwhelmed by her new apartment that she will be moving into within 1 month. All of a sudden, a girl comes by. And the girl looks and says, "Oh, hey, Jack, is this Jill?" And Jack goes, "Yeah, hey, Molly, how's it going?" And, "Oh, good, Jack, good." And she goes over to Jill and says, "Hey, Jill, my name's Molly. Good to meet you. Why are you in this apartment?" "Oh, that's my bedroom over there." Now, Jill's not as happy as she was when she first got to the door. She's looking at Jack with this bad look in her face. Then a few moments later, another girl comes out of her room. It's Susie. Susie goes, "Oh, hey, Jack, how's it going?" Jack says, "Hey, Susie, hey, have you met Jill yet?" No. And so Susie comes over, and she shakes hands with the cold-handed Jill. Jill's looking at Jack, and she is angry. A few moments later, another girl comes out. It's Mandy. Mandy comes out of the kitchen, and she's preparing something. "Hey, Jack, how's it going?" "Hey, that must be Jill." "Hi, Jill, I'm Mandy. Have you met Molly and Susie?" "Yes, I've met Molly and Susie. And who are you?" "Oh, I'm Mandy. So good to meet you." And Jill looks at Jack, and she says to him, "Hey, Jack, could we have a little conversation, please, outside of this apartment?" Jack's like, "Oh, yeah, for sure." They step outside the door. And Jill lets go of Jack's hand, and she says, "Can you tell me who these ladies are?" "Oh, these are girls who live in the apartment. Don't worry, they have their own bedrooms." "But who are they?" "Oh, these are my ex-girlfriends." "Excuse me?" These are my ex-girlfriends." What do you mean your ex-girlfriends?" "Look, Jill, you don't need to worry. Everything's fine. I don't love them. My heart is yours. I have a little bit of affection still for each of them, and they needed a place, and this apartment was big, and I thought it would be good to allow them. They're helping with the rent, and I thought it would be good. Just a little affection for each of them, but my heart is yours." How long do you think that relationship would last? Who wants to marry somebody whose affection is completely divided amongst people that they once loved? That's what Samuel is saying to the Israelites. God doesn't want to share his affection with a bunch of other idols. He doesn't want to hang out with all the ex-girlfriends from the Philistines, this idol, the Ashtoreth, the Baal. He doesn't want to have his affection. You might even declare that your heart is wholly God's, but Israel, you can't share your affection with God. You've got to prepare yourself so that your affection is only his. Now you say, "Well, Pastor, I don't have a Baal in my house. I don't have an Ashtoreth. I don't even have a Buddha from Asia. I don't have anything like that." But let me talk to you about our modern day idols. For some of us, it's pleasure. We spend way more of our heart and our affection and our time on things that bring us pleasure than on God. Our TVs are the God of our home instead of Yahweh. For some of us, it's our friends. We are motivated. We are persuaded by our friends, and our affection goes towards other people who are in our lives, and we would rather have their favor than the favor of God. For some of us, it's our jobs. We work so hard, and we give everything towards it, and our jobs get all our mind, all our emotions, all our physical well-being, and God is just part of the equation. For some of us, it's our finances. For some of us, it's material goods. Anything that God has to share his affections with. Anything that makes him secondary or just one of the boys, one of the idols. Samuel is confronting Israel, saying, "You've got to prepare your heart." He wants your heart wholeheartedly. Church, I just want to remind you something. God is a jealous God. He's a jealous God. He wants your affection. He wants your affection more than anything. He wants you to love him with your entire being, not a divided heart. This will not be manifested solely on Sundays. In fact, it will probably be more manifested on Monday to Saturday in your daily life. Because it's easy for us to come in on Sunday and let God be number one. But on Monday, when the day is crazy and our job is important and our pleasures are important and our friends are important and everything else is important, it's easy to share our affections with God with everything else. How much time are you spending with him? If he's truly the God of your life, if he's truly the one who's number one, if he's truly the jealous God who is the God above all gods, how much time, how much energy, how much of you is being given to him? You've got to prepare yourself. Prepare him a room. Prepare him a house. Prepare him a place that is only for him, not for anything else. God, this life has been made not for my job. This life has been made not for pleasures. This life has not been made for finances. This life, this building has not been made for my reputation. This body has been made for you. This house is prepared for you. You live inside of me. Every part of me, let it bring glory to you. I want you to be my number one affection. Have you prepared your house for him? Pursue, prepare. And lastly, we need to persist. The Bible tells us that they pursued and they prepared. They said, okay, Samuel, we'll get rid of all our idols. We'll do everything that's right. And then the Philistines hear that they have gained access to Yahweh, to the ark. They've gained access. And the Philistines says, we're going to take this Kiriam Jerath on. We're going to take them on. We're going to go after them. And the people of Israel say this thing in verse 8. They turn to Samuel and they say, do not stop crying out to the Lord our God for us. Do not stop crying out to the Lord our God for us. God starts to show up. Things start to get better. And they say, hey Samuel, we want to persist after God. We don't want you to stop praying for us. Oh, Samuel, when things start getting good, don't stop praying. If we start gaining victory in battle, don't say, oh, surely God is with us. We're going to keep going after him. We want you to keep praying. If things start getting bad, please don't stop praying. Because we want God to show up in our lives and in this nation. And friends, it's easy in our lives that when we begin to pray and God starts to show up and we begin to access him, that we can pull back on our prayers. When things start getting good, I don't know about you, but sometimes when things are good, it's worse than when things are bad. Because we say, oh, everything seems to be good. I don't need to pursue God like I once did. Don't stop praying. Don't give up. And sometimes when things are bad, we stop praying because we think surely God has given us what his will is. Surely he's given us what his will is. Frank Potney wrote a book called Wait, the Science of Delay, and he talks about this lady named Irene Licata. She created this dating ministry, this dating program, online dating program called It's Just Lunch. And he talks about it in his book about how this program works. There are high professionals who will pay to be on this online dating site. They will pay thousands of dollars to be matched with somebody else. Now, the truth of the matter is, as he interviewed her, he confronted her with the fact that there are other websites that are much more cheaper. There are so many other websites that professionals could use to find the perfect person, but these highly professional individuals are paying thousands of dollars. And he says, what is it about It's Just Lunch? What makes it so worth paying thousands of dollars for? And she says, well, one of the things that we do is we don't show the pictures of the person that they're going to go on a date with. This company sets up this date, just a lunch, just a guy and a girl. They've submitted their profile. They do a few things, and they match them, and they set up this date. And she said, every time that they're about to go on a date, both parties want to see a picture of the other individual. But we don't let them see it. Because the problem is that when they see it, when they see the picture, they may say, oh, that's not somebody who I'd like to be with. Or, oh, that's definitely somebody I'd like to be with. And she said they jump to conclusions without realizing it's chemistry and compatibility that will make the relationship work. She says we won't show them the pictures because we don't want them to make a decision based upon what they see and jump to conclusions and ruin something that could be good. And I was thinking about that, about how there's times where God doesn't show us the full picture because he doesn't want us to jump to conclusions, because we'll mess it up. He sometimes doesn't show us the full picture because he doesn't want us to jump to conclusions. And sometimes when you're praying, you feel like things are actually getting worse. I don't know how many have ever done that. You've been praying for something. It's like the more I pray, the worse this gets. Anybody? You feel like you've got a negative anointing? You know what I'm saying? And you keep praying and praying and praying, and the more you pray, it seems to get worse. And you go, God, come on, I might as well stop praying. And God goes, no, I'm not showing you the full picture, because if I show you the picture, you'll jump to a conclusion and it'll get worse. Some of us look and we look at what's going on. We look at what's taking place. We see something either good or bad, and we jump to conclusions. Friends, I want to tell you, you keep praying, you keep praying, you keep praying, you keep praying, you keep praying. You don't pray based upon what you see, whether good or bad. You keep praying because the Spirit stirred you to pray. You don't pray when things start getting better in your relationship. You don't stop praying, you keep praying. When things start getting better at work, you don't stop praying, you keep praying. When things are getting worse, that sickness seems to be getting worse, you don't stop praying, go, God has made his decision. No, you keep praying. You don't make your decisions by what you see. You keep praying. Do not stop praying for us, Samuel. Do not stop praying for us. No matter what we see, good or bad, don't stop praying. Jürgen Matthesius, who wrote the book Pray Until Something Happens, tells a story about how a couple had come into his church, had come into his church, and they called him that week. They had only been once. They said, Jürgen, we have a friend, a couple who go to another church. They go to a church where they don't believe in healing. Their son is on all these machines, and he's got this disease, and he doesn't have much of a chance of making it. We know that you believe in prayer. Would you go to the hospital and pray for him? Jürgen said, for sure. And so as he got to the hospital and walked into the room, he had a flashback in his mind of just a few months beforehand where there was a boy in his congregation who had the same type of disease, who was the same age. They had prayed for him. The doctors wanted to pull a plug. They had prayed for him, and the boy got healed, completely healed, and is doing perfect. And he could think about it, so he begins to pray with faith, and he thinks about this boy being his son, and he begins to pray out loud for this boy. And as he's praying, believing God to heal this little boy, all of a sudden the father comes over to him, taps him on the shoulder and says, excuse me, how dare you? How dare you keep praying like that? We've prayed for our son to be healed 3 times, and God hasn't healed him. It must be his will. And so because we haven't seen a miracle, we are not praying for his healing anymore. And they kicked Jürgen out of the hospital room. I wonder how many times we're like that couple, where things look bad and we stop praying with faith. We pull back on our faith. We pull back on our prayer. I mean, there are situations in here that we've prayed for many, many times. And it's got to be frustrating when you've prayed over and over, and every evangelist who's come in, you've been prayed over, and you've come every time we've had communion, you've been anointed with oil, and you've been prayed over. It's got to be frustrating when you pray and pray and pray, and it looks like God has shown his will. The Israelites say, hey, no matter what happens, Samuel, keep praying, keep praying, keep praying. Friends, I want to tell you something. You need to keep praying. You need to keep praying that God would show up in your life. You need to keep praying for the miracle to take place in your home. You need to keep praying that God would be accessible and that he would show up and do incredible things. You see, in 1 Kings, and we're not going to turn there, but 1 Kings chapter 18, there's a season where there's no rain, and the Bible tells us that Elijah sits down and he places his head between his knees and he begins to pray, and he says to his servant, go and check to see if there's any clouds. And the servant comes back and he sees nothing. And Elijah keeps praying. He's praying for rain. He's praying the rain clouds would show up. 6 times he sends the servant. Nothing. Sees nothing. One more time, though. One more time. One more time. God, send the rain. Send the rain. Send the rain. Persistent prayer. Persistent prayer. And on the 7th time he sends the servant comes back and he's exhilarated. He says, oh Elijah, you got to know there is a cloud that's just the size of a hand. It's just the size of a hand. The rain is coming. You see, sometimes you pray and on the first time there's no cloud. Sometimes you pray on the second time there's no cloud. 3rd time no cloud. 4th time no cloud. 5th time no cloud. And something says to you, you should give up. You've prayed 5 times. But you're only 2 times away from seeing the miracle. You're only 2 times away from seeing God step in. You're only 2 times away from seeing God accessible in your life. And friends, I want to encourage you to keep persisting God. I'm believing, I've been praying here for almost 4 years that the Spirit of God would blow in this place in an unprecedented way. On Tuesday mornings, there are times there's only our staff and maybe 1 or 2 other people, and I get discouraged and I think to myself, why aren't there more people coming on Tuesday? We moved it from 7 to 8 o'clock to allow people to come pray, and I think I should just shut this down, but something rises up in my spirit and says, no, I'm going to keep praying. I'm going to keep believing that God's going to do something in Community Pentecostal Church. I'm persisting. It may be my 3rd prayer. It may be my 4th prayer. It may be my 5th prayer. And I don't know if it will even happen on the 7th prayer, but I'm going to keep praying until he does otherwise. Persist in your prayers. Persist in your prayers. Did a camp in Saskatchewan, and I close with this, and Pastor Steve and Jess, why don't you softly begin to play. Did a camp in Saskatchewan a number of years ago. Pastor Adam did it last summer. I thought it would be fine. It was just before I was going into one of our camps at Lakeshore, and I thought everything would be fine. I'd go on the internet, work on stuff during the day. I thought I'd be able to talk to Ainsley. That's important for me. I need to communicate with my family if I'm going to be away. They're in my life, but I want to be accessible to them. And I got there, and there was no internet. I mean, I don't know if you've been to Saskatchewan. There's not a whole lot there. There wasn't internet. And I was a little frustrated. And I thought, well, as long as I can be accessible to my family. Looked at my cell phone, and I noticed that the tower showed nothing. No connection. I can't not be connected to my family for 7 days. I can't. This is what I did. Began to pursue a spot where I could be accessible. Began to walk around the grounds, just like this. Verizon commercial for sure. I walked down the hill past my cabin, went out to the beach, started to walk towards the water. There was this little inlet of dirt, and I don't know what got in my mind, but I walked out there, and all of a sudden, one bar. Friends, literally, I'm like this. If I moved to the right, I lost connection. If I moved to the left, I lost connection. This one spot. And I thought to myself, I'm not moving from here. Called Ainsley. Hey, what are you doing? What am I doing? I'm standing awkwardly at the beach. And every day I'd go back to that spot because that was my accessible spot. And when you find a spot where God is accessible, don't leave it. When you find the spot in your life where God shows up, oh friends, cherish that spot. Cherish that spot. Cherish it. I mean, do whatever it takes to find that spot. I don't care what it takes. Do whatever it takes to find that spot. Prepare yourself. Pursue Him. Persist. I mean, it was frustrating when I kept walking around the grounds and there was no signal, but it was so worth it when I found that spot. And friends, for some of you, you need to hold up your phone saying, God, I'm going after you. I want you to be accessible in my life. And when He shows up, don't move from that spot. He is the greatest thing that could ever be part of your life. Would you stand with me? Accessibility of God. Last message in our God in Transit series. I want you just to bow your heads for a second. Pastor Steve's going to lead us in one song before we close. I want to share two things, but every head bowed, every eye closed. You're in this place this morning, and you don't know Jesus. You can feel something warm in this place. This God that I'm talking about seems to have gravitated to your mind. You say, Pastor, I don't know Jesus, but I want Him to be part of my life. I want to know the God who wants to be part of me. I want to tell you that He made it possible by sending Jesus Christ to this planet, dying on a cross for you. It's what we celebrate next week, and rising again 3 days later. You say, Pastor, I want to give my life to Jesus. If that's you, would you just raise your hand? Anybody in this place? You say, I just want to give my life to Jesus, completely His. Just wave your hand at me. Is there anybody in this place? All right. If you didn't raise your hand, but you want to know more about what I'm talking about, you can come to the front, sit right in the front row right after this service. There'll be some altar workers here, some prayer team who will walk you through the next steps. Church, let me talk to you for a second. In the middle of worship, someone came up to me, and one person came up and said that they felt that there were some who were afraid that God is not interested in them, but He wants to remind you that He loves you and cares for you. And we sang that song, He's a good, good Father. And you're in this place, and you've got every reason why God wouldn't be interested in you. Today is the day to pursue Him. And then somebody else came up to me, and they said they just felt that if we just kept worshiping, that there was a healing in this place. That the Spirit of God wanted to heal some people. Isn't it incredible that we could be a church who has the presence of God, but there are times where we go for major seasons and it feels like God's healing is inaccessible. But this word is that the healing would be accessible today. And we're going to sing this song in just a moment. Pastor Steve's going to lead us, and I'm asking you to do one thing. We're going to close with this. I want you to pursue God in this worship time. And if you need healing, if you need a physical healing, I want you to reach out to God. I don't care how many times you've prayed. I don't care if it's been the 6th time and with your head between your knees and there's no clouds. I want you to keep praying that God would step in and bring healing into your life today. I will keep praying every day until someone's life is completely gone. I'm going to pray for healing because He's a healing God. Keep praying. Keep praying. Let's pursue Him right now. Pastor Steve, lead us in this song.
And I've heard